Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Resilience with your host, me, WinterTooth100. And in today's episode, we are going to try our best to finish Kakariko Village so that we may move on to the next project. And I have a couple things regarding that particular topic. First, the village should be simple enough. We just gotta fill that with wheat mostly. So we're just gonna fill this in, add a few little pathways. Maybe we'll put in a scarecrow or two, just to spruce the place up. But a big thing that, probably the biggest thing for this project, for this city left, is this strongman shop. And I have come up with an idea for it. Not necessarily for the strongman piece of it, but that we're going to make this a two-story building. The only, I guess besides the Temple of Time, the biggest building in town. And the reason why we're going to make it 2 stories instead of 1, just like the rest of them, is because when we have players on this multiplayer server, like we do, who want to come here and try their hand at the puzzles, well, we can only have 1 player here at a time. And in order for players to be able to take turns, that means they need a place to leave all of the gear they have acquired. So we need a place for them to leave that gear at, and that's what the second story is going to be. Basically, we'll have Joe come here, he'll do the first temple, he'll get the Master Sword, and then it'll be the next player's turn. But Joe can't take that Master Sword with him. Oh no no no. You're not allowed to take anything out of this map until you've 100% beat it. So that means we need to have a place for him to put it. So if he comes over here, yes, this will be the strongman's competition on the first floor. But if you simply go upstairs, he will find a room or a chest or something to let him know that that is his private container, and he can therefore leave everything behind. And so the next time he comes into town to do the next challenge, all he need do is go to the second story, open up his personal container, retrieve all of his goodies that he has earned, and then proceed on his way. Basically, he just needs a place to put his stuff. Everybody needs a place to put their stuff. This is going to be that location for us. So let's do a quick check off of all the things that we're going to tackle quickly, because the other big thing I want to talk about with you guys is where we go next. We need to make this building. We need to fill out this thing with its crops and possibly scarecrows. There is a shop over in the corner over there that needs to be built, and we need to convert one of these other houses into a shop. After all of that building slash converting, then we need to fill in the houses. All these things need to be filled in and have some kind of decor, because right now they're just hollow. So they need to be filled out, give them some character. Then we need to barrier proof all of these. The fact that I can just hop up onto the roof here is a big problem. So we need to go around and check everything. We want to make sure it's absolutely impossible for a player to get into an area that we don't want them to be getting into. And then after that, it'll just come down to adding villagers and doing commands and functions and removing AI from certain mobs. That'll just be background technical stuff, and so we won't have to worry about doing that on camera or anything. But I will make a note of it, and we will show it off whenever we get to the villager piece of it. But as far as the building and jump proofing this place, I want to get all of that done in this episode. Basically, the only thing I want to be incomplete is having the villagers with their AI and possibly the strongman. So without further ado, I'm going to close my eyes and open them again, and this will be done. Alright, so I'm still designing the house. Just ignore that, it's not complete. I got sidetracked with creating the redstone for the entrance to this place. So we can take a brief look real quick to our left. We'll have the stairs to, take us up to where people can store their stuff. And right here we'll plant us a little villager who's the merchant for this thing. And maybe we'll put some signs up explaining how much it costs and what it all is, as soon as we get that all figured out. But in the meantime, I really wanted to figure out all of the redstone for this thing. So I looked up, there's a mumbo jumbo video where somebody sent him and oh, I forgot to close that. That's actually really dangerous. Somebody sent him a 3x3 door that is only 1 thick, 1 block wide. That's it. So we installed that door. It's working like a champ. So it fits in here just perfect. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. On the outside there is a button, so you just push the button. The door will open for a little bit. You can come in. The door will close behind you. But on the inside, this is the entrance to this game. So we don't want to make it so players can just go in. They have to pay to go in. This costs 5 emeralds. The map does provide you with plenty of monies throughout the course of the playthrough, so you should be able to afford this pretty easily. But we had to do some designing. Where's my shovel? I had to do a little designing, and we have a hopper here. This is where you're going to throw your payment, and if it's anything but emeralds, it'll work its way over and spit out right there. And we will demonstrate this in a moment, but I want to take a quick look at the redstone. So you throw in your emeralds and it'll come through, and if they are emeralds, this hopper system will let them pass through. Nothing else will pass through. I'm not going to show you the names of the dirt blocks, but the dirt blocks have a special name for anybody who wants to cheat and pay with dirt. So all of the items actually that are used for stopping things have a custom name to prevent people from doing whatever. So you throw your emeralds in. If they are emeralds, they'll go down into this line. If not, they will stay across the top and they'll spit out back up. So whatever you throw in gets spit back out at you. However, if it is your emeralds, it'll come down this way and it'll go down into this. There's a double system there. One that does all of the door opening and one that is a lock thing, redstone lock. So if you throw in 1 emerald, it'll just accumulate there. Nothing will happen. If you throw in 2, nothing will happen. 3, nothing. 4, nothing. And finally, once that 5th emerald hits this circuit, the redstone will activate. That was the hardest part, was figuring out how to lengthen the signal in such a way that exactly 5 is what triggers it. So, without further ado, let's pillar back up, see if we can't get our dirt back. And we'll demonstrate in 2 ways. We have cobblestone here, so first we'll throw cobblestone in, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as if we were trying to pay with 5 of those. And we'll come over here. Listen. Did you hear them? There's a couple of note blocks that trigger with this as well, to let you know that that is wrong. Now let's come over here and let's put in our 5 emeralds. We're going to be very careful because this door will open and mobs could come through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Listen. Look at that. And it will close behind us. How cool is that? I'm so excited about that. It is so neat. I love it. We're going to have to cover all this up so you can't see any of the redstone. And fill all this in. But I thought that was a really neat little redstone circuit, and I really wanted to share that with you guys. That it only accepts one specific item. It only accepts a specific number of that item, and it'll open and close the door and give you back anything that you accidentally threw in. So if you threw the master sword in, it'll give you the sword back. So you won't lose that or anything. But yep, just wanted to share that with you guys. And I'm going to finish working on this, and I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, we've made it past the server restart, which happened 15 minutes ago, but we finally finished this building and most of everything else. There's 2 things I can think of that we didn't do. That is, get all the villagers in place with their custom AIs, and I still haven't gone through and made it so we couldn't sneak up onto buildings yet. So those are 2 things that we still need to work on. For the most part, this building is done. We just saw the redstone. The redstone's functioning just perfectly fine, so you really don't have to worry about that so much. But we go upstairs, and I've decorated everything I could think of, including having banners for the Triforce for this place. So each of these little sections kind of denotes a specific section for any given player to kind of claim as their own. So if you're playing this, and you come up and decide you want this one, but you find something in there, well, you better just leave it alone. Better yet, you guys can actually let me know in the this is for the guys on the server. Let me know in Discord which one's your guys's, so I can put your names on here, because when you guys come in here, you will be in adventure mode, which means you can't play signs or anything like that. I've moved all my storage in here temporarily. Seems like a good place for it. We did get all of the farm in place. It's just wheat. That's it, just wheat. We have some scarecrows. Oh, I keep forgetting we can zoom in now. We got a few scarecrows, nothing more than just a leather chest piece and the carved pumpkin. Every single house has been interior decorated. I had to move the beds one in. They were tucked into the corners, and then I decided to sleep in one of these beds in the middle of the night, and I ended up getting stuck. It teleported me outside of the wall of the house and put me in an area, it was over there, put me in an area where I was actually trapped behind trees, and so I had to break stuff to get out. So move those, so hopefully you guys won't get stuck, but there is the possibility, the potential that if you sleep here, you might end up stuck in one of these little corners, in which case you won't be able to get out. So slight risk with that. But every single house has been fully dealt with. We have basically just bone mealed the water. Didn't do too much special with it. There's some, you see them right there, the sea pickles or cucumbers or whatever they are. And we got the lily pads. And then there's even some kelp. There's some kelp up here. I've put up a little pillar there for just a moment. We'll go over there and take a look. Just wanted to show off every little thing we've done to the building. So basically everything has been fully furnished. They look very similar to each other. Different color beds. Some of them have the banners, some of them don't. Some of the armor stands are in different places than other places. But we couldn't put any armor on the armor stands because when you're in survival mode or adventure mode, you can still take the armor off the armor stands. And the players aren't meant to be taking the armor, so they could, in theory, claim one of these houses as their own as they each go along, and then put their own armor on it when they're not in the map. I've made the little shop back here. It's just two of these houses, essentially, put together, and on the inside, it's a little shop. You can't get through, and we're going to have a villager here with a custom trading recipe, and I think he's going to be food. So he'll be looking specifically for a certain number of emeralds, and he'll give you a specific number of specific foods. Same thing, I think, with if we do another shop, hopefully I can do a custom trading for some of the refillable stuff that you guys are going to need. Let me sleep the night away, and I'll meet you on top of that pillar. Alright, we are now officially climbing the pillar, as you can see. I wanted to talk with you guys briefly about... well, kind of briefly, we'll see, about what projects we have going on in front of us. I made this little diagram in front of us so you guys have something to see and reference as I look at my actual notes and reference that. Very quickly, the coaster represents pathways. The green wool, they should all appear as circles or tiny blocks. Those all represent areas such as what we're in right now. We're in a big open area, and that is actually this block for reference, and the pathway's up that way, so you can see the path going that way. There's another path going this way, which is this path. We can actually zoom in. It's that path leads to the graveyard, which is this. So that hopefully will give you guys some reference for where we are and the rest, in relation to the whole map. The snow blocks is obviously the snow temple. Snow temple's there. The blue all represents water. We got a couple of like small lake things in the main field, so that's why I put them there. We also have a river kind of running into the desert. That's why it's there. So hopefully you guys have an idea. Castle Town goes up there. Forest Temple's over there. This is all Hyrule Field. This is all Lower Hyrule Field. The desert and the volcano area, the red desert. Okay, so I've asked in the past, and we've had some people mention that we want to build these in the order that we will be doing them in. I can do that, but now that we have a much better diagram to reference, it's important for you guys to know that I was looking over my map, and there's only three. The Sky Temple is over in this section outside of the desert, and I didn't include it. There's 3 places that you cannot immediately get to. Everywhere else in this map you can get to. The sky area, Sky Temple, you can't get there. The red desert with the volcano, that is blocked off until you get a certain item. And the snow temple is also blocked off until you get a certain item. Or pathway revealed, I forget which of the two, I haven't read that far in my notes. But that means that everything else we have to build, and we have to make it functional, and we have to get it all ready before we can drop somebody off. Especially if we want to maintain you can go everywhere and see everything straight from the get-go feeling that we're going for. So as soon as we drop a player in this Kakariko Village is actually the only place that we can preemptively let somebody run around in, because the gates will be locked until they get the Master Sword, and at that point we can have already instructed the other members that that is actually the stopping point and they'll have to wait for the rest of it. So we could actually get a few people through Kakariko Village, but that's it, and that's because they literally cannot leave Kakariko Village, so they would be stuck in there, so nothing else has to actually be built for them to do this. Moving on from that though, as soon as they're able to get out of Kakariko Village, they're able to randomly go check out the graveyard and randomly go up and check out the forest. Well, the forest temple's actually got a little caveat to it. It has a requirement, but it's not going to stop them from going there, because that is the very first temple outside of the Temple of Time. The forest temple is the first temple you tackle, so it won't be long for them to get there, so that's why it would have to be complete along with the rest of this. But if they decide to walk up and go up to Castletown, well, they're going to need to see Castletown, and they're also going to need to be able to at least see the castle, the facade of the castle. We can leave that blocked off till later, because obviously that's where we're going to have the end game at, so everything else has to be complete before they go there. But they can take all these pathways. They'll get stopped right here, so they won't be able to get in there. So everything in Hyrule Field has to be done. Everything in Lower Hyrule Field has to be done. Everything in the desert needs to be done, because you actually, without giving too many spoilers, I won't say why and I won't say what you have to do, but as soon as you leave Kakariko Village, there's something in the desert that you're required to do, and then you can go to the forest. So everything needs to be done. So I'm not sure what we're going to do next. I want to do these all in order, but because everything has to be done roughly around the same time, I'm not doing the Hall of Hero to the end, because that Hall of Hero will literally require me to have every single item so I can try every single thing to make sure everything's working. But we have the Desert Temple, we have the Forest Temple, we have the Sky Temple, which we don't need to do, we have the Water Temple, the Volcano, Snow Temple's mostly done, so that's nice, and Castle. Oh, and the Graveyard. The Graveyard has a temple too. Lots of stuff we need to do, and I don't mean to ramble, but I just want to give you guys a heads up that any one of these projects could actually be the next thing we work on, because they all need to kind of be done roughly around the same time. So let me get my materials together so I can get ready to leave this place, and we are going to leave Kakariko Village, and we're going to randomly pick one of these locations, and that's where I'll meet you, and we'll end the episode there, and you guys will know exactly where we're going to be next episode. Alright, take a quick guess. Where do you think we are? Where is this? What are we working on next? That's right, I'm sure some of you are correct. This is indeed where the Forest Temple is going to be. I have been thinking about it, and I think we can do some of the work here. A lot of it for this thing is, in my mind's eye, it's grand and big and just looks really neat. And it's not necessarily super technical with redstone and stuff. Not yet anyway. This temple does give us an item, so therefore I can't do the dungeon until we have that item. But I can do all of the outside, and we have a ton of space. That's the direction we came from, and there's a ton of space in here, and a part of this is we have to include the little parkour thing, so we can actually get here on foot instead of flying here like what I did with my wings. I don't know how well we're going to be able to pull this off, and I'm afraid to say anything preemptively, but imagine, if you will, for a moment, some really big gates, like grand sized gates, greeting us into the forest, and then all along the edges of the forest will be like these walls, and it's going to be old, like it's an ancient temple, ancient ruins, so it's going to be it's going to be old, it's going to be dilapidated, it's going to be falling apart, but it's going to be looking really cool. I also want to, I'm afraid to even say it because I'm really, really bad at it, but I kind of pictured this thing where, like, there's this, it's cut in half, right? And the first half is its own little mini puzzle, which is what you would expect in a Zelda temple. Same thing with the maze in front of the Snow Temple. There's something you have to do, some kind of challenge, some kind of puzzle that you do before you actually get into the temple, and then using the back half of the space for the temple. But for that bit, the bit that I'm scared of to say anything, is I kind of want to, in the same way that we use big gates to greet you there, we're going to have a gate here too, except it's going to be 2 giant statues, probably roughly as tall as some of these trees. Maybe not as tall as some of them are really tall, but two really big statues, maybe crossing swords or something, looking like they're falling apart, maybe some vines growing off of them, and they will be greeting you back into this temple. And the temple itself we can actually build as well. We'll just get back in here and we'll build this facade of this temple thing. I mostly picture this temple being underground, so I'm not too concerned with what the temple looks like on the outside as far as puzzles are concerned. So we don't need to add like an extra wing to house like a maze, and we don't need an extra wing to hide the redstone, because I think it's mostly going to be underground with some bits that might come back up into the temple, just so we have some cool situations where you're like climbing upstairs and you can see out these awesome windows and just really overlook everything, because I think that'd be really neat. But I don't mean to ramble about it. I just want to get you guys hyped up about this next project. That's right, we're going to be here in the forest for the forest temple. So that's going to be everything for today's episode, guys. Just as always, say something about your favorite, what kind of bear we want to talk about. Tell me a fun fact about black bears down in the comments below. And that will let me know that you guys made it to the end of the video, and then I can be sure to jot your name down and make sure to include you into the Temple of Time's Hall of Immortals. That's what I'm going to call it. You guys will be the Immortals. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you like. Subscribe if you haven't. Share with your friends. And I will see you guys in the next one.